Best part about this thing, apart from being warm, is this tail. It's nice and chunky. Okay, today I am Peaches. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat, or today Peaches, and I would like to talk about Moonshine and Magic by Bella Falls. Charlie, who fled her hometown to learn more about her magical talents and leaving a confused fiancé and a slightly confounded family behind, returns to her hometown just in time for founding festivities and to witness her ex propose to her cousin. Unfortunately, that is not the most exciting event of the evening yet. When Charlie walks into the park, she finds the corpse of her great-uncle Tipper, and when she touches him, the death curse that was intended for the actual murderer hits her instead. It doesn't off her that instance, but it's working on it. So now she has to solve the crime to get rid of said curse. Overall, I enjoyed the world and the crime solving, even though they were not the best detectives around. But the book has a couple of other issues or things that just didn't work for me. Starting with the world building, it has quite a few nice touches, like when people curse, they say pixie poop instead. They hint at the usages for unicorn manure at some point. I still don't know what it's used for, but maybe that will show up in a later book in the series. Who knows? It's only hinted at here. And Charlie's grandma has a cross-stitch on the wall that says never to accept a dragon's invitation to a barbecue. Things like that are just cute and tie the world together. It does really give off the feeling of that small town. And I'm not quite sure what year this is supposed to be. I mean, she comes back on a motorcycle, so it can't be too far off from the current day. And I don't know whether magic just interferes with electricity, but nobody seems to have a telephone, neither mobile nor landline. And if you want to find anybody, then you have to head to the next best festivities or the town and hope they are there, apparently. Or none of them know where the others live either. I don't know how secretive this town is about their addresses, but whenever Charlie needs to talk to anybody, it has to be at the festivities. She can't just call or go visit somebody. It's a bit weird. Characters. We'll assume this is a better representation of Peaches. We'll get to Peaches in a bit. Characters. There are possibly too many of them. Charlie has a couple of friends in her hometown, and I still don't know who is who exactly, apart from which girl is interested in which guy. That part gets enough time that it sticks, but I don't know what any of these people look like. I don't know what exactly they do, apart from Ben, who is a lawyer, and I don't know. I think she had at least 4 girlfriends, and I feel like they could have combined characters, possibly. It seems like a few too many. This comes out in the naming as well. The detective, or warden, in the story is called Mason Claremont. And he shares a scene with the doctor at some point, and the dog is called Doc Mason. It's like, if you're naming fictional characters, did you really need to have 2 Masons in there? The whole story is told from Charlie's perspective, and she's generally quite fun and likable. Unless she talks about men or 2 men. Because boy. I think I actually put a note in my Kindle, save me from the love triangle. But it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to save me from this one. Well, unless I don't keep reading, then I probably don't have to experience it. Okay, I need Peaches as stress relief for this, because there's a love triangle ahead. While it doesn't come to full fruition in this book, in the series yet, I expect there will be a lot of jealousy, petty behavior and indecisiveness on Charlie's part ahead. One candidate is Dash, a wolf shifter that Charlie meets for the first time while he's fixing something in her nan's house. And it really one of her first comments about him is like, oh, his voice terrifies me, or like he terrified me, but I was equally fascinated or something. I was like, no, if somebody actually terrifies you, then you're not attracted to them. That's mutually exclusive. Unless she means it's like, oh, he sounds like he's into things out of my comfort zone with terrify, but I don't think she did. And even if, then pick the right words maybe. But yeah, I stand by. If somebody truly terrifies you, then you're not attracted to them. That doesn't happen. The other contestant is the detective, Mason. He appears rather standoffish and cold at the beginning because he moved from a big city to a small town. It's like, oh, he doesn't quite fit in and whatnot. But he draws towards Charlie very, very quickly. And also with Bitter, I'm like, that's not cool. They know each other for maybe one day. They talk about the case or something, and he just casually touches her face or something. It's like, no, keep your paws to yourself. Ugh. Obviously, Dash and Mason need a reason to dislike each other, apart from apparently, and for no reason that I can really discern, pine for the same woman. In this case, Mason has issues with werewolves or wolf shifters because a werewolf killed his wife, his girlfriend, I can't remember, his partner back whenever. And Dash just has an issue with authorities, or the police in particular. But literally 1 second into meeting each other, it's all this like glaring and unprofessional and immature behavior, and it's just like, some of my annoyance about this triangle ties to Charlie's unreasonable expectations, I think. Like, she knows Dash for, I think, maybe a day or two when they just sit on the porch and talk to each other. And she asks him about his past that he clearly doesn't want to talk about. And she just keeps prodding him and saying things to herself like, oh, he still doesn't trust me. Say, well, woman, he knows you for like 2 days. Of course he doesn't trust you. Why the fuck would he? And then similar towards the end, like, in between, he leaves town because Charlie tells him that his illegal moonshine production venture with one of her friends has been uncovered and he should go and talk to the wardens. Instead, he trashes his shop and leaves town. And when he comes back, Charlie is all angry at him. It's like, yeah, you should have stayed and helped me or supported me. And I'm like, why? He's known you for 3 days. He doesn't owe you anything. Particularly not staying in town when he doesn't want to. Yeah. Anyway, as soon as it's about men, Charlie just annoys the heck out of me. Guy number 3. Her ex-fiancé, Tucker, seems, given the circumstances, fairly reasonable and nice. Because, I mean, he could just be pissed that she just upped and left. But he just tries to talk to her like a normal person. And at some point she even suspects him of the murder of her great uncle. And as the reader, you're like, it's obviously not him. You know this. And he's just trying to talk to her to get some closure. And she's just ditching him because she's angry at him at this point. It's like, what are you angry about? You left a year ago, he moved on. Get over yourself. There's some shoddy detective work going on in this book. It's like Mason hasn't questioned a single person in town. That's why he needs Charlie's help so much. And I just can't help but feel like if you dropped Mary Minor Harrison from the Mrs. Murphy series in there, she would have solved the case by the next day, because as a reader you have a pretty good chance of doing it as well, because it is the first time where you meet the actual murderer, you're like, oh, that's the guy then. And you didn't need any detective work for that. But it's like the detective didn't go around town actually asking people about stuff or investigating anything. Like, Tipper is missing his flask. At this point they've already established, okay, he didn't just die of a heart attack, he was poisoned. And he always carries booze with him. The flask is not where it's supposed to be. And instead of just searching the area or asking around about it, the detective needs Charlie to tell him this, and he's just like, have you not talked to a single inhabitant of this town or what? Well, I didn't think that the murder was particularly well hidden. I'm also confused about one of her friends. Like, apparently every witch or magical being has different abilities. So Charlie can find objects or people, mostly objects that belong to other people that she had some sort of connection to. Her friend Lavender, I think, can read auras, which is why she tells us like, ooh, your aura is all pink, regardless of whether you talk to Mason or Dash. Like, ooh, this is exciting. But she can also see the death curse hovering over Charlie. And when Charlie shakes hands with the actual murderer, part of it is passed on apparently. Yet Lavender never sees any of that in the murderer's aura. Even though it should have been just as present as it was in Charlie's. It's just like, did her friend just forget about her abilities or choose to be blind while she's talking to said person? Strange. There are a couple of wrong words and things that spell check won't catch for you. Like at some point her brother makes a quip about something and Charlie goes, hey, I resemble that remark. Do you now? Cool. Yeah, a couple of things that spell check can't do for you and that have been missed. So more proofreading. Most importantly, cats. There's a cat on the cover, yet the first cat you encounter is her Nance, Loki, who apparently likes to trip up Charlie and try to make her fall down the stairs. And she absolutely despises him. So you sit there, well, I expected a cat. It's apparently not this one because you hate him. And then halfway through the book, she outright tells you that she hates every single cat she ever encountered and she would never own a cat. But thankfully, at a fair, she adopts a kitten because Peaches just melts her heart. So then she has a ginger kitten. But just like 1 or 2 pages before that, I was like, why would you put a cat on the cover and then not give me a cat? This sincerely upsets me. But there is a kitten in there. She doesn't do anything for the story all that much, but I suppose since she's more of a familiar than a pet, she will do so in later books. One thing that struck me as really odd while she's talking to Mason and tries to convince him that she can be left on her own, that she can handle herself. She tells him, like, yeah, well, I survived a whole year out there by myself. I'm just like, that's called adulting. We all do it past a certain age. I'm not sure what you're trying to impress upon the detective here, but it didn't work. So overall, thanks to the love triangle that I could really do without and the whole, oh my god, there's a guy, this is the most important thing ever, it gets this cat from me. And since I expect there will be a lot of petty, immature behavior, I don't think I will keep reading, even though this one was overall pretty okay. But yeah, you can hunt me with that love triangle and no, just no. Not even if Peaches plays a major role further down the line. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe and comment if you want to help this channel out. And I'll be back next week with another review. Bye guys! Now, most important part. You're not green. Why are you appearing as green in the green screen? Oh my, better keep you here.